Stoud Man coming back at you once again, and we are here to play some Euro Truck Simulator. So I got my trucker hat on, well, it's a baseball hat, but same diff, right? I'm trying not to think about how bad the Mariners are this year. Anyways, well, let's get going, shall we? Oh my God, just that entire fucking American League West Coast. Oh Jesus, that entire league is fucked. I think there's like one team over 500 in that entire conference, and shit, Mariners are like 10 games behind 500. It's ridiculous. It's redonkulous. So let's not think about that. Let's think about how, or let's think about the good things, the positive things that are happening in the world right now. Because believe it or not, there are some positive things happening in the world right now. I shit you not, there are bad things happening too. Don't get me wrong. But there are some really positive things happening in the world right now. For one, and this is probably going to be the title of the video. For one, we have won. You're saying, what the hell are you talking about, Stoud? What are you talking about, Justin? Well, what did we win? How did we win? What is winning? Winning? Huh. Remember when that was a thing like 3 years ago? Anyways, the internet has won. As I'm sure something's going to crash into me here. No? Okay, good. Okay, I just crashed into things. The internet has won. And as I say that, I'm sure somebody is going to be like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Well, allow me to tell you a little story about Google. Did I just hit a sign there? Is that what happened? A little story about Google. Google a few years ago. Oh, shit. A few years ago, Google starts up this little internet business. This business trying to, you know, sell internet access to people in certain areas of the United States. So, like, only in areas where they're going to be welcomed, where they're going to be given some help by the government to actually get started up. And in those areas, they start offering 1 gigabyte internet, 1 gigabyte download for $70 a month. So they put 1 gigabyte internet on the fucking map, where most Americans are dealing with internet that's like, you know, at most 25 megabits down per second. So most Americans have, at the time actually, they had like maybe 10 megabit per second download if they were lucky. And then in major metropolitan areas, it was more than likely that you had access to some pretty affordable 25 meg download speeds, which is nice, but it's not good enough to do things like 4K. It's not even really good enough to do things like HD. When we're talking about Netflix, we're talking about Voodoo, when we're talking about all that stuff. So, you know, it's a problem not just for consumers, but for people who develop consumer electronics. And at the time, Google is the only one showing any signs of planning to change any of this. They're the only ones talking about offering internet that's fast enough to provide what consumers and the consumer electronic companies who want to provide to the consumers. They're the only ones talking about offering them what they need to make things happen, to make an environment where one can watch HD content in real HD over the internet. I always hit that sign. Without any problems. So they start offering in small markets, and people start getting, like, consumers start getting excited about the prospect of, oh, Google said maybe they're going to come to my neck of the woods. And honestly, they're usually in small markets, but they started offering them only in, like, you know, metropolitan areas. So they didn't really have much of a chance to expand because of the way that they were going about it. But the way they were going about it also kind of allowed them to offer the internet at the prices that they were offering it. But at the time that they were doing this, offering 1 gig internet, nobody else was doing that. Nobody else was even thinking about doing that. And in fact, we had a lot of people in the industry saying that nobody wanted that. That most American consumers don't want high-speed internet. They only want, like, the low-speed internet. They don't need anything better than 25 down. Which, you know, if you're interested in things like Netflix, which most Americans are, then you know that's not fucking true. Because you need high-speed internet to be able to see better quality content in terms of, like, high-definition content on your HDTV streaming. If you want to stream high-definition content in true high definition, you need to have better than 25 meg down. It's just a fucking fact, alright? So they were just spouting this bullshit left and right. Like, nobody needs this and nobody's gonna need it, so why should we, right? And then Google comes in and says, you know what? Fuck those guys. We're gonna offer you 1 gig download. And then all these cities and all these small communities all over the country start, like, not necessarily begging Google, but, like, they start working with Google to try and provide this to people. And all these small communities start talking about offering local high-speed internet that runs off of, like, a local program. And lo and behold, what happens after a little bit of pressure is placed on the big boys? What happened just today? What did I just hear about today? Well, Comcast has announced that they're planning to offer 1 gig internet download speed to all of their customers nationwide by 2018. In 3 years, Comcast is planning to provide 1 gig internet download speeds to customers nationwide. I know I'm chancing it here, but fuck it. Fuck it again, fuck it again, fuck it again, fuck. I don't want to crash. But I don't care either. So yeah, we won. The internet won. And Google, to you, even though I have a lot of issues with you sometimes in other areas, in terms of, you know, forcing their hand and showing the big boys that there is actually a pretty strong demand for higher speed internet out there. For being one of the companies, one of the only companies to talk about you know, changing the way that we even view internet speeds. Thank you. You were at the forefront of this fucking movement. You were one of the companies that helped to make this happen. Without you, we would not be where we are today. So, to you, Google, I nod. I nod and I applaud you and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I speed and get a ticket for $550 or euros, I'm sorry. Because I don't give a fuck. Because the internet has won. We have won this day. We have won. And all is right with the world. As we see a bright new sun dawning over a beautiful landscape to the left of us. Whichever direction that may be. We did it. We now have access, or we will now, in a few years, have access to internet speeds that are high enough to give us proper 4K streaming. And at that point, I can honestly say there's probably going to be a lot of companies out there who are currently producing, a lot of studios out there currently producing Blu-rays that they just will not be producing in 3 or 4 years. If we truly and honestly get 1 gig internet in the United States, nationally, in enough markets to really make a difference, then I won't say it's a game over, but I will say that companies like Fox and Paramount, you know, Universal, they're probably going to cut back on their Blu-ray production at that point, because at that point they can literally take their high definition transfers that they are putting on Blu-ray and they can stream them at a high enough speed that it's literally the exact same transfers you would get on a Blu-ray, and there's no difference in quality. Like, I never thought this day would come, or at least I thought this day would be a lot further down the line, and yet we're talking about 3 years from now we're going to have the internet speeds necessary for that, and it won't be long after that that the market will dictate what is going to happen with movies. And honestly, I would not be surprised if a lot of these bigger companies stopped producing things on Blu-ray. That being said, everything I said in my video that I did the other day about greatly exaggerated rumors, it still holds true. And even in that, you know, post 1 gig internet world, it would still hold true, because there would still be a niche community of collectors like you and me who still want to collect Blu-rays and DVD. And because of that, there would probably still be a big enough market for these smaller companies to produce these smaller runs of Blu-rays and whatnot, whether it be Twilight Time doing their 3,000 print runs, or Scream Factory just doing, and Shout Factory doing whatever they can with the amount of time that they are allotted from the studios, and the amount of content they are allotted from the studios. And that's the thing, even though the studios will at that point probably have less of a reason to produce their own Blu-rays, that doesn't mean they're going to stop licensing out their content to the smaller companies like your Twilight Time, like your Criterion, like your Shout Factory. There's nothing saying they're going to stop doing that, and there is no sign that they're going to stop doing that. Oh my god. Oh, that was amazing. That was fucking awesome. Anyway. So yeah, the whole physical media dying thing, no. But it will become much more of a niche. Like, if you didn't think it was a niche now, it will, like, definitively and undeniably be a niche at that point. because, you know, you won't see the major studio releases of all the fucking big movies. Well, maybe you see the big ones, right? But you won't see all the releases of like the smaller movies, right? So like anything that was produced between the budget of like 30 and $100 million, you wouldn't see it on Blu-ray from the major studios. But if it was like something like a Star Wars movie, then you probably would see it. Just to give you a sense of what I'm talking about. I mean, I don't know for sure if that's exactly how it would work out, but that's my guess at least. My guess is that they would severely cut back on their production of Blu-rays, on their production of DVDs, on their production of anything physical, because they wouldn't need to provide it. Because they can just provide it through digital means, and people can get the exact same quality of content through digital means. So, you know, I mean, it's not necessarily like great for collectors like you and me who want something physical to hold on to touch and feel and to collect. But it is good for everybody as a whole, and it's good because like all that content that we were complaining was not up to par, not up to snuff compared to Blu-ray. Like, the hope is that they start just putting the content that they, oh god, that they were putting on Blu-ray, and they just start offering that as for streaming, right? And honestly, I think that's probably what they're going to do. And if they don't do that, then they're probably just going to offer the same old shitty quality of streaming. And I'll still have every right to call out the fact that streaming is not as good as Blu-ray, but whatever. Like, the argument is as old as time itself. I don't even need to make it anymore. The argument makes it fucking self. It makes itself. Like, the proof is out there. If you don't believe me, just go look for it and you'll fucking find it. The standard quality that you can expect from streaming is not as good as the quality that you can expect from a Blu-ray. Most streaming movies, like high quality streaming movies like The Hobbit, the files that you are downloading for those streaming movies are between, and we're talking about the high quality movies, mind you. We're talking about the big budget movies. Those are between 6 and 8 gigs in size typically for streaming. Oh god. Alright, whatever. Anyways. Those are between 6 and 8, sometimes a little bit bigger, sometimes into the 12 gig area. But Blu-rays hold between 25 and 50 gigs. Matter of fact, I don't think anybody even produces a Blu-ray anymore. Like, they don't produce movies on Blu-ray on 25 gig discs anymore. They only do it on 50 gig discs. And yeah, the file size for those movies, a lot bigger than 8 gigs. Because it's a lot better quality. So just based on the file size itself, it's unfucking deniable that what you get from streaming is not as good as what you get from Blu-ray. But what I'm saying here is that that could change. In a few years, that could actually change. Especially if Comcast is honest and forthright and they actually do provide 1 gigabit internet access across the board nationally to a lot of markets. Because if the market is big enough for that, then the studios might just start putting those fucking Blu-ray sized files up for streaming availability. And I have to believe that they would welcome that, because then they could have another thing. They've already got like their 4K, got their Ultra HD. They could have yet another classification for this kind of content. And just classify it essentially as Blu-ray quality, high definition movie. And I think that's ultimately a fucking awesome thing. I don't have a problem with that at all. Even though it might mean that we'd get less disc content from the big boys. If you look around at some of the crap that we are getting from the big boys lately, I mean, some of what we're getting is good, right? But other stuff that we're getting from them is just fucking stupid. Have you seen the cover for The Fifth Element, Cinema Supreme, or whatever series that they're doing? That cover is goddamn horrendous. It's disgusting. It's horrible. No. You think that's what collectors want? Collectors want something that looks pretty on their shelf, not something that looks gaudy as fuck. So the studios, they think they know what they're doing. They think they know what their audience wants. But when it comes to Blu-ray enthusiasts and collectors and physical media enthusiasts and collectors, they have no fucking idea. They have no fucking idea what we want or how we want it. They're just throwing shit out there, hoping for a best case scenario. And if that's what we're stuck with right now, then yeah, you're goddamn right that I don't give a fuck if they are going to cut back on production of these titles in the near future. Because what that says to me is that instead of getting these titles from them in the near future, maybe the physical releases in the future will be from the smaller studios who actually know what the fuck they're doing and want to give you what you want. They want to give the niche audience like us what we want specifically, and they know what the niche audience wants, so they feed the niche fucking audience, which is something that the big studios simply do not know how to do efficiently. So who fucking cares about the big studios ditching the format? Who wants them there anyways? They're best served as a group of people. Oh my god. Sorry, don't care. Get the fuck out of my way. They're best served as a company that provides content to the other companies who make the actual product. If that means we have to pay more, so be it. We're already paying more for that content now, and it's worth the extra buck because of the quality of content that you get from the smaller companies. So, yeah, like I said, I could give a fuck less if they're gone. I welcome that. In a lot of ways I do. I welcome the removal of the studio from the process of making physical copies. They don't need to be involved. All they need to do is provide the content to the smaller studios who know what the fuck they're doing. Excellent! Yeah. Awesome. How much money did we earn? 65, 35, eh? Nice. Well, another week has ended. We are now at 79 thou. Amateur hour is slowly growing. And like I said again, the internet has won a victory today. We've also had some downs because a grand wizard recently announced that they supported Donald Trump for president, and Jesus Christ. Let's focus on the positives, all right? Let's focus on the positives. We're getting gig internet. In the world of multimedia, which you and I most likely care more about than who the fuck's going to be president in a few years. Whatever that says about us. In the world of multimedia, things are going in the right direction. Everything's copacetic. Everything's fan-fucking-tastic. Let's celebrate. Anyways, with that being said, thanks for watching. Catch you later. Peace.